Hello and welcome back. I'm Dr. Sam Graber and this is my channel. We're doing a creative project in which we are taking on new recipes and making them low carb or cooking things that maybe you haven't cooked already. Like tonight I've got one that I haven't done yet, but I found it on a spicy perspective. It's not very spicy, but it is called chicken mushroom soup recipe and it sounds amazing. Nice and rich. Mushrooms, I don't know if you know this, but if they're grown well, they have some really nice micronutrients for us, and they have a decent amount of protein. Alrighty, so we're going to pair our mushrooms with chicken in this recipe for a really nice, protein sourced from plants and protein sourced from animal. Let's get started. Alrighty, put that guy there. We're going to go ahead by chopping up our veg. So I've got some celery. And just to remind you, we have started an outdoor composting pile. So that's been really fun. You can do these pretty much anywhere, even if you have an apartment and you have to, keep your stuff pretty contained. From what I understand, there are some products online. I don't sell any of these or affiliate with any. But if you just want to store your waste and then be able to utilize them to create some soil, to grow your own herbs, that would be a nice way to go. So we're just going to chop these guys up. We want about 1 cup of celery. So we're going to start here. And another kind of neat tidbit when it comes to celery, you can, if you cut off the bottom of the celery stalk, sometimes they will start to sprout roots if you put it in water, much like we did for these scallions or the green onions. So it's kind of a neat way to grow your own without having to start from seed. All right, so we're gonna get these put aside and then we'll do our onion. Now, if you're new around here, and I hope you are, I'd love to be first to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. I hope you enjoy this recipe. As I always like to share, we have a recipe share and we have just changed the format so that we'll be sending out a recipe book that will get updated every week or every time that we drop a new recipe. As of now, I think we're at like 8, 9, somewhere in there. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. All it'll cost you is just your name and your email so we know where to send it. You'll get an update every week so you don't have to think, man, did I forget to request that one? It'll come right to you in your email. If you don't find it, just like everything else, look in your spam. All right, so I wanted to make these big enough chunks so that we have something to chew on. And now we're going to grab our onion. This goes in the compost pile too. Get both of those out. All right. From time to time, you're going to see our dogs wandering through here. They're always looking for some treasure on the ground. Sometimes they find it, sometimes they don't. So now here on this onion, you can see there's a little bit of mold, dirt. It's kind of one of the risks we take when we buy things from the grocery store or even, farmer stand. Dirt is normal, natural, right? Dirt, soil. Ideally it has some nourishment to it, but mold shouldn't be. So kind of a bummer. Our food has to travel so far often to get to our grocery store and then to our home. So now that I've got most of that peeled off, I'm going to just wash this. I'll be right back. All right, the nice thing about onions, they're layered, right? So if you do have one of those surfaces, you can just peel that all off. Don't feel like you have to waste the whole thing. Although if you are concerned, you can always chop it in half, put it out in your garden, in your soil, and regenerate a new one. All right. I'm gonna use my thinker here. As I've mentioned before, and I will mention again, I am not a professional chef. I am an at-home chef. I've been cooking for quite a while, but I just don't have it down to get these chopped up like those fancy chefs on the TV. I'm addicted to those shows. I don't know, are you? Let me know in the comments if you have a favorite show that you just cannot get enough of. We have a couple. Right now, I'd say our favorite is Triple Threat with Bobby and his Titans, because it's amazing the level of, just creativity and skill. You know, when people ask you, what do I need science for? I'll tell you, if you like cooking, there's physics, there's chemistry, all of that really is really involved in cooking. Some neat things to do, plus biology, looking at your macros, knowing how much protein, how many microminerals, and all that other good stuff, the good fats, all biochemistry. So do your science homework. Okay, we're just about done here. And then while I'm waiting to do that last bit there, I'm going to grab 2 tablespoons, 1, 2, remember, got the little lines here, 2 tablespoons of our butter, and we're going to put that in our soup pot, and get that started. So much of cooking is just multitasking, kind of trying to anticipate ahead of time. Sometimes I get it, sometimes I don't. There we go. Okay, come back to our onions. So now the fun thing about onions, they too have a lot of really good nutrients in them. And one of the best parts is you can choose any of those colors you want. You can store them for a while, but you want to just be sure that there's not a lot of moisture. You can kind of do some research on your area and finding out what's the best way to store bulk onions so that you can have them on demand and take advantage of buying in bulk. Okay. And there we go. Now we're just going to wait for our butter to be all melted. I'm going to put this on about, out of, looks like 6 or 7 as our high. We're going to go to about 4, 4.5. So we're at like a medium high. Okay, check our handy dandy recipe. And like I mentioned, if you want to have this recipe, happy to share this. And remember that it is from a spicy perspective, and we'll have that on there. I'm really enjoying collaborations and finding other recipes that have already been done. Yeah, I'm going to have a couple little shifts to them. Like for this one, it calls for us cooking the whole chicken breast, but I'm going to pre-chunk that up. I think it'll make the recipe a little bit quicker. Plus I just like having the browned edges on the chicken. And then we're also using rub sage instead of dried thyme because we had rub sage. Sometimes that's another good thing to just kind of keep in mind. All right, kicking the dog around here because she's walking behind me. No animals were actually harmed in the making of this video. There might be a foot stepped on or two because they're right behind me all the time. All right, so I'll meet you over here. Get that. Seems like a lot of, nope, 1 large sweet onion. I chose white because we had them, or I guess yellow. And then now let's get our celery in here. Okay, hey Jack, what's happening? Okay. Give that a nice little stir. If you notice any big chunks that you happen to miss, like I did here, just hack them up in there. Oh, you're not going to want that. Don't eat that. No, she'll learn quick. Okay. Okey-dokey. So while we're waiting for that, we have our garlic. I'll put that in here too. And if you'll remember, we are pre-mashing up our garlic and freezing it in these little, ice trays. So we've got those. That's why it looks like just a big hunk of garlic in there. That'll melt in real nicely. Oh, it's starting to smell good already. Okay, back in 2 and 2. So while I'm waiting for those to saute up, I am going to cut up our fresh rosemary. Now, fun fact, we grew this. Those are the dogs. I don't know if you heard all that commotion, but we grow this out in our own backyard. So I'm going to grab this off and give us, let's see, we needed about 1 teaspoon. Oh, that's gonna be way more than a teaspoon. So you wanna get all the woody parts out. Just go with the greens. Let's do that. I do have this handy dandy little herb stripper. It's not what you think, don't take your mind there. It is a way of kind of hopefully getting this part out. So you come through here, let's see, this way, and it kind of pulls that. It works actually rather well. Alrighty. The things we do to entertain ourselves and the crazy impulse buys we do, right? Like I'll find something and go, oh my gosh, I never even knew this existed, but now I cannot live without it. That's how it works in the kitchen section at times. Okay, so we're gonna call that good. Actually, I need a little more. A little bit more. Okay. Okay, already pre-sliced the mushrooms. These are just your good old baby portobellas. You can buy them pre-sliced, but we usually like to slice them ourselves. Yeah, just a little less exposure to bacteria and all that stuff that can grow no matter what. I mean, it's alive stuff, right? So just one bit. I'm gonna place this over in the stock pot, and then I'm gonna bring in our herbs. There's that. Fun way with your herbs, go like that, but just don't slice your hand on that darn blade. I'm sure lots of us have done that in time. There's that. Speaking of time, which we don't have, THYME that is, I'm gonna use rub sage. Okay, and we need 1 teaspoon. Okie doke. Oh, it just barely fits. All right, so I don't want 2 heaping a teaspoon. I'm going to go just like so. And we're done with that. Give that a good stir. And then we're gonna let nature do its thing, or physics, or chemistry, I guess. And let it do its thing and let these all meld together. And while we're doing that, I'm gonna chop up the chicken. Now my heart wants to put more butter in here, and my heart may win. I'm gonna give this just a little bit longer to cook down, but for some reason I'm feeling like I need more butter. That's a daily issue I have. I always feel like I need more butter. Okay. So now because I'm working with raw chicken, I'm going to cut this on a different board because I try not to mix them or use, the same board for raw meat. You can see that because this was a previously frozen chicken breast and this thing is honking, I'm sure there's shenanigans going on. This is not a pasture raised or regeneratively raised like I would like for it to have been, but this is just a good frozen chicken from, I think, Sam's Club, chicken breast, but you'll see that. So instead of putting that whole thing in, let me put this over here, since we're working with raw stuff. In fact, I'm going to wash my hands and take this little Aura ring off. All right, move it, doggy. She's always under my feet. Okay, so I'm gonna put this over. And I'm gonna use a different knife so I can keep that one for my herbs. Okay. Girl, would you please? She's running my feet all day. All right. Chop this up. It's interesting about our food supply. I mean, we do our best to try to find the very best ingredients, but there's only so much time and there are only so many dollars. So we try to pick and choose where we can. An ideal world would have, like I say, regeneratively raised. Speaking of, oh my goodness, I just realized I'm wearing my Center for Agriculture, CFAR, Center for Agricultural Resilience, that is up at White Oak Pastures, which is legit one of my favorite places on the planet. And they are rethinking agriculture by approaching it with a regenerative lens, Will Harris, the fourth generation. Anyway, he's an amazing thought leader, rancher, entrepreneur. I know he doesn't like when I call him that, but he is an entrepreneur. He was way ahead of his time, and now there are people trying to catch up with him because we have really messed up our farmland, and people like Will and the others in that space are trying to help us get ourselves out of a really bad situation when it comes to how we raise our food. Because I'll be first to say as well that some of the way we raise our food, I think, is criminal. And all meat is not bad. All people who raise meat are not bad. I think they're some of the best people on the planet. They are close to nature. It's the business of food and like the agribusiness, big food, and a lot of our quote unquote nutrition policy. Don't even get me started. A lot of that stuff is just so antiquated, and it was never, ever, ever really based on human health. It was based on the almighty dollar. I love capitalism. God bless America, all the things, but I think we have been sold out as a people by our government in many ways. This is not a channel that I'm going to be talking about a lot of that. You want to talk about it more personally, meet me for coffee. Until then, I'm just going to cook, but I will from time to time bring in some of my thoughts, and you're welcome to share yours. I'm all about freedom of speech. I am not about trolls and BS and people just trying to instigate problems. I'll shut you down real quick, okay? But all thoughts are welcome. Let's just have a discussion if you would like to. All right, this all looks good. Going to go laves la manos. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Still on my soapbox because it's fun up there. I might do jumps as well because, you know, jumping from high to lower ground is really good for your bones. And as a chiropractor by trade, I'm no longer practicing, but as a chiropractor, I'm a real big fan of bones. All right, let's see if we need to add more butter. Woo, I'm so tempted. But you know what? I am going to honor a spicy perspective, and I'm going to keep as much of their recipe intact as possible, aside from my other little changes. Okay, so we did that, we got that, we carried one. Ooh, okay, so cook them down. Deglaze the pot with dry sherry. It took us a while to find sherry, like we've never really bought it. This is sherry cooking wine, so I'm gonna assume it's what we need. If it's not, well, we have sherry cooking wine instead of dry sherry, which I'm assuming they would say dry because it's supposed to be on the label. We just couldn't find it at our grocery store, and we were not going to go, you know, gallivanting all over town just to find it. So only a third, it seems like not a lot. Okay, here we found it. Boop, and stuck it out. Okay, put that there. Then add in the diced chicken breast. Okay. Oh, this looks really good. Nice and mixed up. And then we're gonna have to glaze the pot, which I believe is just to get all the good bits out. All about it. Smells good. Okay. Now we're gonna put our chicken in, and it might change the timing just a bit because, again, I already pre-chunked it. So I was gonna have to chunk it afterwards. And I don't really like working with hot stuff, although I kind of less like working with raw stuff. So maybe I would just go ahead and follow the directions when I do this next time. Here we go. Right there. Okay. Second bowl. Okay. Put the top on so we can keep that heat in, and I'll be back when that's cooked. Okay. So while we are waiting for the chicken and everything to cook down, I'm gonna grab our parsley. We went with Italian parsley because that's what the store had. Parsley. Curly is a little different than Italian, you know, but I'm not too particular. Now, if I was making maybe tabbouleh or something in the Mediterranean space, I don't know, Mediterranean, do the Italian parsleys want to be part of that? I'm not sure. I think you sometimes just use whatever you have. Oh, it's fighting, little sucker. And there we go. That smells good. Okay. So we only need a 1/4 cup of chopped parsley. I don't know if you know this, but it's a really good, what do they call it? Is it a carminative? No, I don't think that's it. It's really good for your breath, and it's excellent for helping with the digestion. Go ahead and enjoy a little. I should wash before enjoying. Maybe I should have read that ahead of time, but I'll go ahead and wash these before we chop them up. Just like with our rosemary, I want to try to get most of these stalks out of the way. And I'll tell you one thing, when you do have a compost pile, you feel a lot better, like you're not wasting as much food because you're just going to recycle that. And I don't feel so bad when I have to throw something away. Okay, that's probably going to be about our 1/4 cup. Let's be a little more liberal. Yeah. There we go. Rinse that off and then chop it up. All right, dry that in a little paper towel that I will just use to clean up later. Right on. Okay, so same thing here. Just gonna get in here, chop her up. Now this is something that we just bought. We bought curly parsley the other day, but there wasn't enough of it. We just bought a plant. There wasn't enough for me to harvest some without probably damaging that poor little plant. So we went for this option. Okay, that's gonna be perfect. So we'll add that to our soup. We're waiting for the chicken to cook. We're going to take all that out, and then we are going to whisk in some xanthan gum instead of cornstarch, even though it's what, just a little pinchy pinch, 1 tablespoon. That's a decent amount. She says, or arrowroot for ketogenic. So we're going to go with our xanthan gum, and that'll be our thickener. Okay, back in a few. Okay. So our chicken is pretty well cooked. Now we're going to add in our broth, our salt, and pepper. And the neat thing about your broth is you don't always have to add the entire amount if you want a little bit of a thicker kind of soup. I mean, you do you, right? This one, we want 8 cups of chicken broth. And I just separated out the cooking a little bit. Now we're going to cook this up to a boil. There we go. Once that boils, we'll take the chicken and mushrooms out and then just thicken up the sauce, and then we're ready to eat. Now I'm choosing to do this over my hand just because there's some steam. I don't want to mess that up in here. Okay, while we're waiting for that, I'm going to go ahead and do the tablespoon of the xanthan gum. I'm not going to quite use that much. In fact, I'm going to pour the heavy cream into the soup first after we take out the chicken. Then I'm just going to put the xanthan gum over the top, allow it a little time. I found that it's like something with surface tension. I don't know, more physics, but I find it's just a little bit better. So instead of cornstarch, we're going to use xanthan gum. All right. I'm constantly editing and kind of figuring out the way I want to go about a recipe. Because it's my kitchen, I can do what I want. It's a test kitchen, we're going to figure it out. All right, we have our rolling boil. Turn that off. And then I'll take the chicken out. So I am now realizing why in the recipe she has used the full chicken breast, because it would be a lot easier at this stage. So I'm gonna go fishing for my little chunks of chicken, and I'll take out some of the other goodness. That's why I used a slotted spoon. And then we'll thicken this up with our heavy cream, and then just our dusting of the xanthan gum. So again, that's what I have on hand. That's what I usually use for helping thicken things up when needed. So we're going to use what we know. Now there's a note here on her original, or I'm assuming it's a her, I apologize, it could be a gentleman, I should not be so presumptive, but on their original recipe, it says that you can keep it dairy-free by just not adding the heavy cream, and it would be good. And I would concur because this smells amazing. So I'm sure it's fabulous without it. But when I have an excuse to add heavy cream, I'm gonna use it. All right. Just gonna add that in here. Squeeze out as much as you can. There you go. Try not to waste heavy cream. Can't get that out. All right, I did my best. And then I'm just going to use a little dusting of the xanthan gum. I more often than not just use a pinch between my fingers. I'm going to do that again. Something satisfying about that. So here we go. And just kind of bring it out. You don't want to use it right over the steam because it will absorb that moisture right quickly. We're going to do a few pinches and get a nice thickening on the top. And they say a tablespoon of cornstarch, but this stuff is, I think, more potent than cornstarch, so we're going to use less. Because I have over added the xanthan gum, and it is just gummy and kind of grody. So I'm not going to do that to us. Okay, give it just a few more minutes, then we're going to put all the goodness back in. I want to allow that to thicken. I've got it off. Just let nature do its thing. Back in a moment. Seeing how much it's thickened up, I'm going to add just a little bit more of the xanthan gum. Just a little thicker. All right, now we have more of the consistency I was looking for. Sometimes you just have to allow it a little time. Okay, I'm gonna put in the goodness again and let it all sit and meld one last spot. All right, serving it up. Forgot the parsley. I do this almost every time. So we're going to do a little fresh parsley on top. In fact, I might just keep it to fresh. Let me put a little bit in our soup. Easy, girl. Then we'll keep the rest for fresh on top. All right. One should follow directions completely. That's the key, key to a test kitchen, yes? One of these days I'll get my act together. Until then, who knows, I'll just be unpredictable. Alrighty, so let's see how this tastes with all of our stuff. It's quite hot, so I might let it cool just a bit. So please allow for my mouth to still feel things and taste things after. We'll take just a little break. I'll be back to taste this. All right, so I am ready to come back and give this a test. Let's see, what have we learned today in our recipe in our test kitchen? We have learned to follow the recipe, right? But I also want you to have a takeaway of you don't always have to do it exact. If you mess up a little bit, just make up for it. You know, if you go out and think you know better than the recipe creator, like apparently I did today, and it ends up being not better, just go back the next time and follow the directions. But also, as you're going along, if you find you might have a better way of doing a recipe, go for it. It is your kitchen. Okay, so let's see how this all turned out. You get all the flavors in one yummy, yummy bit. Mm-hmm. I would say, oh, it's very good. I'm actually happy with cutting it up because I feel like there's more seasoning on all the chicken. So it was not a fail. It was just a different way of doing things. So enjoy the rest of this, and I will look forward to seeing you next time on the Roxo Test Kitchen. If you have some suggestions, please put them in the comments, and be sure to opt in for the recipe share. Like I say, it will be a whole bundle that will have all of the recipes up to now and in the future, as long as you want to stay subscribed. Until next time, take good care of yourself and each other. Bye for now. And I just can't stand it. 2 and 2. Only old school people will get that. Those of us who were raised on the TV. Chuck Woolery. Yep.